So I accidentally hit a curb and I've knocked my tracking out on my van. So what's happening now is when the steering wheel is straight, like this bit here is dead straight, the van is pulling over to the left slightly and I have to sort of move it. You can sort of like to about there for it to drive straight, and then when I let go it sort of starts slowly creeping over. I've just looked at the track rod ends on the van to see if they're at the sort of front of the wheel or towards the front of the van more than sort of like the back of the wheel, and on this the track rod ends are at the sort of back of the wheel. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the steering wheel dead straight. So what's happening at the moment is the left hand wheel definitely, instead of it being sort of straight like this, it's pointing probably slightly over to the towards the left. So what I've got to do is the track rod end is at the back. So what I'm doing is I'm undoing it one turn. So I've got to turn the left hand one, I've got to screw it out so it brings the wheel that way, and then the right hand wheel I've got to screw the track rod end in so it brings it sort of round that way, because at the minute, if you imagine, I've got one wheel pointing that way and the other one sort of pointing that way. So I'm basically bringing the left hand wheel round that way and the right hand wheel round that way. So I've just put some WD-40. I've undone one track rod end, but the locking nut is seized to the track rod. So I'm just going to let that do its thing, and hopefully I can loosen it. But I've already done it one turn, and how I've done it one turn was I just marked the top of the bar that comes out the steering rack, and then I've just sort of undone it 360 degrees. So I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, so I'm back in the van. So I've adjusted the left hand side one turn, I've adjusted the right hand side one turn. So the left hand side one was screwed out to bring it round, the right hand side one was screwed in to bring it round. I'm doing it one turn. Obviously I've locked up the track rod ends with the locking nut. I'm now going to take the vehicle for a drive to see if it's centralised the steering. If it's still a little bit off, then what I might do is go half a turn each side again, just to carry on bringing the wheels round slightly. Obviously once the steering wheel is straight and the van is driving straight, I'll just have to keep an eye on the tyres to see if there's any unusual wear pattern on the inside, which means it's sort of towing in too much. What that basically means is, instead of the tyres sort of going dead true, toe in means that the tyres are slightly towing in. So one tyre would be like that and one would be like that, and what you tend to get is scrubbing on the outside edge when they're towing out too much. The wheels are technically, one's going that way and one's going that way, and it scrubs it on the inside. So I've just got to, if the steering wheel's straight, I've just got to just keep an eye on the tyres to make sure they're not wearing funny. And I can adjust it if they are, if it's scrubbing it on the inside so they're towing out too much like that. All I've basically got to do is just by one turn perhaps, or half turn, just got to bring one in and bring the other one in, or if it's towing in too much like that and that, just got to bring them round one and then bring that one round, do it by eye. The reason, I mean, I used to be a motor, by the way, I used to be a motor mechanic for many years, so I've done this no end of times on different vehicles. Obviously you're meant to get it in on a four-wheel alignment, and you know, you can get it set correctly, but they're quite a lot of money, so I just tend to do it myself. I wouldn't suggest anybody try this unless you know, you're a motor mechanic or very confident in what you do. But I've got to say, for a disclaimer in this video, do not try it. Take it to a professional that can realign your tracking on your vehicle if it needs to be done. So I'm just going to take it for a drive and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so that it's driving absolutely spot on now, the steering wheel central. I didn't think it would need much adjustment, because when I'd knocked it out, instead of the steering wheel being straight like that, driving straight, to drive straight it was probably just slightly over like that. It's not a great deal. So now the steering wheel central, I can let go of the steering wheel, it's not drifting left or right, it's pretty good. There we go, bit of an insight how to adjust manually adjust without doing it without a tracking machine or a four-wheel alignment. But as I say, unless you're super confident or you know what you're doing, take it to a trained motor mechanic. Thank you, have a great day.